Welcome back, guys, to my third and final video covering this year's 2018 E3 convention. And boy, what a week it has been. I already made my predictions, I already covered Nintendo, now it's time to cover the best of the rest. This is the rest of E3, including all the hits from EA, Microsoft, Sony, Ubisoft, and Square Enix. Not necessarily in that order. So first order of business, EA. The first big title from EA was, of course, Battlefield 5. I believe the 5th installment in the series, if I've got that correct. I like how right off the bat, they came out saying, no loot boxes, no premium passes. Just get that out of the way right from the beginning. All the things the fans are pissed off at, we're fixing this time. Another big thing for Battlefield, Battle Royale. Battle Royale games are all the rage right now. That's the hot genre, as it were. The Battle Royale announcement actually got some boos. There were some cheers, but there were definitely some boos. You know, EA was not winning over the fans right at the beginning. I thought that was kind of funny. FIFA 19. We all knew it's coming. It's the yearly installment of a yearly sports game. That trailer, though, that trailer they played, that was one of the most epic things I think I saw or experienced at E3. That soundtrack was like balls to the wall epic. It sounded like a God of War game or something even more extreme. Right afterwards, they came out and said that Hans Zimmer helped produce the trailer for FIFA 19. So that's why it came out so good. Like, that was a pretty awesome trailer for FIFA. I don't know why EA puts so much fanfare into FIFA. Your stereotypical gamer, that average player gamer is not checking out FIFA's yearly installments. I don't know. This is coming from a very American bias, I suppose, but EA CEO came out, talked about Origin Access Premier. Apparently it's going to debut in the late summer. It's going to come with a lot of free games. It's going to be, you know, another subscription service to some degree. I also found it kind of funny, the fans or the crowd was not particularly enthused when they brought up EA Origin. New Star Wars game. EA still has the rights, so they're still making the Star Wars, like it or not. But the new Star Wars game, not Battlefront, it's called Fallen Jedi Order. It takes place between episodes 3 and 4. It has a holiday 19 release. Other than that, we don't know much about it, other than it's going to take place during the dark times of the Jedi, when they're being hunted down through by means of Order 66. Following up after that is Star Wars Battlefront 2. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of feel bad for the guy who came out and had to basically apologize to the world over Battlefront 2. The essential mantra was, we're fixing it. You're gonna like it. I swear, we're gonna make this the game you want it to be. Too little, too late. I mean, yes, they're still supporting the game. They still have a lot of stuff coming out. The Clone Wars segment is coming over to Battlefront, so we're gonna see Geonosis. The new characters are going to be Grievous, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Count Dooku, and young Anakin Skywalker. And by young, I mean, I think Episode 3 Anakin Skywalker. So, you know, those are some cool characters. You know, it's not like Bosk that nobody knows about. You know, these are some big names, so that's kind of exciting. Especially if you're still playing Battlefront, that's big news. And I think they're currently in their Han Solo season, so you've got the young Han Solo, I guess Chewbacca or some version of Chewbacca, a couple other characters. Next up on their lineup was Unravel 2. Now, I never got the chance to play Unravel 1, but the game looked fun, beautiful really, the graphics, and really had like a 2D platforming puzzle style, sort of like Limbo or something like that. But the sequel, Unravel 2, comes out, and it's not just Unravel 2, it's TWO, a play on words because this game will be co-op, so you're going to have two characters that you can play with and complete the puzzles with a friend or with a CPU playing along. Just like the first one, the game looks beautiful, it looks fun, it looks heartfelt. definitely one to put on your radar. Then they touched a little bit more on their sports games, NBA Live 19, Madden 19, 19. And then next they showed off a mobile game, kind of like a tower defense game of sort. They didn't tell us what it was until the end, and it's apparently a Command & Conquer mobile game called Command & Conquer Rivals. As far as PvP mobile games go, it doesn't really seem like anything special, nothing really breaking the mold. The game looked interesting, the game looked fun, but it didn't look like the new. It just looked like, you know, Command & Conquer gets a mobile game, here you go. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be for free, so another one of those deals, or at least freemium. Then the big one from E3, Anthem. I hate to say, it looks really good. To me, it looked like a better version of Destiny. Now, I like Destiny. I only played Destiny 1, but I felt like that game was missing a little bit of meat on the bones. And Anthem looks like it could potentially be like the Destiny that I was hoping for. It's 4-player co-op. They assured us there's going to be no loot boxes. And there's going to be live gameplay, meaning when you're in your own personal hub zone, you're essentially in the single-player mode where you can go to shops, talk to NPCs, pick up quests, and go about your, you know, your personal stuff. But once you leave your settlement, you go out into the open world to actually complete your quests and do the jobs. But once you're out in this open world, that's when you can interact or meet up with other players in that same world. So you can have a squad of 3 of your buddies joining up, and the 4 of you are flying around in your mech suits, doing stuff. The story wasn't touched upon at all, just more or less the gameplay and graphics, but once again, it looks really good. I mean, that's something I'm going to be checking out. I just wish it weren't EA. Like, it's too good to be true. It looks really good, but it's EA. I'm not pre-ordering it. Let me just put it that way. Don't pre-order it. Wait to see how the game looks when it's released, and then pick it up. That's all I can say. If I could give any one piece of advice for this game, wait till it releases before buying it. And then at the end, they showed some live gameplay of FIFA, some dudes playing FIFA with each other. They were pushing FIFA hard. Again, I don't know why. They should have had 4 people playing Anthem, or 4 people playing Star Wars Battlefront, or they should have had people playing Battlefront 2 to show just how far the game has come along, just how much better it is now. You know, to kind of pull people back into Battlefront. But no, they showed us like a half hour of people playing virtual soccer. That was awful. Next up, Microsoft show. Outside of Nintendo, which of course is the best, I thought Microsoft had a really good show. They had like 50 games to show off, and that's pretty much all they did. They just went game to game to game. They weren't all winners, but they were games. A lot of games. Very little talking, very little cringe fest going on. It was just straight to the games, and there were a lot of them. So I really appreciate that. This time they just kind of laid off the corporate BS and just gave us what we wanted. So bravo Microsoft, I'll give you that. First thing they showed off right away, Halo Infinite. The latest entry in the Halo series. I think we're up to like, I don't know, this would be like Halo 6 or something. I don't know, Halo Infinite. It was just a trailer. I don't really know much about it, but it's gonna be Microsoft's next big Halo game, next big multiplayer game. It's gonna be big news, one way or another. The next game they showed off was Ori and the Will of the Wisps. An Xbox exclusive, at least for a while. It appears to be the second episode or sequel to the first Ori, which I believe was called Ori and the Blind Forest. If you've played Ori and the Blind Forest, you know what to expect. And nothing wrong with that, because that game looked pretty decent. Next up was Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Forgive me for making the comparison, but it kinda looked like Dark Souls with samurai. Just feudal feudal Japan setting, Dark Souls gameplay. Maybe not quite as extreme as Dark Souls, but it looked similar enough for me to make that comparison. Looks interesting. That's all I really got out of it. Fallout 76. I mentioned this in the prediction and teaser video. Fallout 76 is going to be a prequel to all the Fallouts. You are going to be the first Vault Hunter emerging from the vault after the nuclear fallout event. And it's going to be your task to rebuild the world, etc. Just check out a very different, or a somewhat different, Fallout world. And I think later on in the Bethesda show, they said that it would be online as well, so you can have your friends in your world interacting with you, but not negatively affecting the single-player experience. So that sounds interesting. I'm down to see how that turns out. Another thing worth mentioning is that, yes, it's going to be online and open world, but you're only going to see maybe a couple dozen people in this world with you. It's not going to be filled with hundreds of people, you know, all walking around doing their own thing. It's supposed to be a wasteland. It's Fallout. So you're not going to see people everywhere. You're just going to see a few friends here and there. But it sounds like, you know, they thought hard about how to implement it. So that's that. Captain Spirit. I don't really know what to say about this game. It looks like a really sweet, touching game about an imaginative child. Blah, blah, blah. I don't really know where the gameplay element comes in. To be perfectly honest, it looked like a trailer to a Disney Pixar movie. And like a pretty good one. Like, again, I don't know what any of the gameplay is going to be like. All the same, looks very endearing. Next is Crackdown 3. The game we've all been waiting on the edge of our seats for. Crackdown's fun. You're like some super cop who jumps around and destroys terrorists and bad guys. It's over the top, it's fun, it's silly. The trailer didn't really give us much to work with, but I'm sure it's gonna be Crackdown. More Crackdown. The third rendition of Crackdown. Kingdom Hearts. I mean, talk about hotly anticipated games. I was kind of joking about the Crackdown bit, but Kingdom Hearts 3, that has been in the works for years now. Kingdom Hearts fans are, like, gnawing at the bit for this game. Good news, everyone! It comes out January 19, so just after Christmas, it's coming out. It's soon. The game's almost done. Some notable additions include the characters and world of Frozen, and Tangled, and Wreck-It Ralph, and that's just what I saw. Those seem to be the three bigger new additions, but I'm sure they've got a couple other things tossed in there. Forza Horizon 4, of course an Xbox exclusive. It did look pretty, it interested me from what they were showing off. There is a synchronized multiplayer system. So you're driving around, you know, over the countryside of Britain or wherever they set it in. And which, by the way, the game looks beautiful. They really did a good job on the nature scene, on the nature scenes. But yeah, as far as the synchronized multiplayer goes, you know, you're driving around and then like, 10 of your buddies from all around, or 10 random people in their cars drive out, so you could all, you know, group up together, text chat each other, then race each other or whatever. It just seemed the point was it was fluent. You were doing your own thing, and then all of a sudden, hey, a bunch of your buddies right there in the open world, you know, part of the game. You didn't have to go to a separate game mode, separate server. It just happens seamlessly. That's cool. Also worth noting, the seasons in the game change, which affects both the visuals, again, beautifully changing from spring to summer to fall to winter. Not just visually, but it changes the gameplay. It means when you're driving around the courses during wintertime, they're going to be more slippery, etc. The weather system and season change will affect everything about the game. Gives the game a lot of variety, keeps it switched up. Should be cool. Next up in Microsoft's bit was Phil Spencer, CEO, coming out and telling us stuff. this is just an observation on my part, but I swear, in the 5 minutes or whatever Phil Spencer was up there, I think he said storytelling like 50 times. Like, storytelling, we got great stories, great storytelling, we brought in the greatest storytellers to tell the greatest stories. I think he said gameplay like twice, if that. So it just shows, to me indicates where Microsoft's head is at when it comes to Xbox. It appears right now they're much more interested in telling these breathtaking Hollywood stories, no matter what, you know. At the end of the day, if by the time you get to the end credits of the game, you will have experienced a awesome, rich story. Which is great. I love great stories in games, obviously. It seemed like a disproportional emphasis on storytelling, again, versus gameplay. I don't think he mentioned anything about fun gameplay, or innovative gameplay, or unique gameplay. He was worried about story. So, that to me is a little worrying. I feel like as game developers, the number one thing you should always be concerned about is gameplay. Even if story is close second, story should be second to gameplay. I've said my piece. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds comes to Xbox by holiday this year. I guess pretty big news if you're a PUBG fan, but frankly, it was PUBG and Fortnite. It's only a matter of time before those games are seen on every single console ever. So, to me, that's not really a big surprise, but again, it is reassuring to the PUBG fans to hear that they will be able to play the game on Xbox. So next they touched upon was The Division 2, the sequel to The Division. Comes out March 2019, so soon, spring, early spring release. Is it even spring yet by then? Yeah. A big announcement from Microsoft was Game Pass. Now, I don't know all the details, maybe nobody does yet, but Game Pass to me seems like roughly the equivalent of PlayStation Now on PlayStation. I believe PlayStation Now, if you're subscribed, you can play like any PS3 game ever made on their server, as well as a handful of other things. This seems to be Microsoft's equivalent. Game Pass is, you pay into it, probably like a small monthly fee, and you get to play all sorts of games in that library. But one of the biggest selling points for Game Pass, especially versus PlayStation Now, is that certain games, especially big name titles, will be coming to Game Pass day one. So, I don't remember what games they said exactly, but let's say you're signed up to Game Pass, and Battlefield 5 comes out, and then, what was it, Forza comes out like the day after. You don't have to pick between buying one game or the other. With Game Pass, those games will both be available to you day one through the Game Pass digital service. That's really cool. That's maybe taking the digital distribution idea to the next level. Not like the next level, but it still seems to be, they thought hard about putting that decision in. So, cool. Tomb Raider. Sorry, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the latest Tomb Raider game. It looks exciting, it looks action-y, it also looks boring as shit. If you like watching Lara Croft get the shit beat out of her constantly, play this game. I swear to God, in that trailer, she pretty much died like 3 times. What happened to Tomb Raider? Now, like, she can't take 5 steps without a mountain lion tackling her. Like, what's happening? New Devil May Cry 5. It's an official sequel. It's been a few years. That's exciting. A new episode of Cuphead comes out, 2019. I don't know if they gave any specific date, but yeah, that was another one. We all knew that another episode of Cuphead was coming. It was just a matter of when. Jump Force, a Shonen Jump fighting game. Not quite sure exactly what kind of game it was. There is some sort of fighting involved, but I don't know if there's any sort of like exploration or open world, or if it's just strictly a fighting game. But all your favorites from Shonen Jump, your One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, and the rest, all getting together and fighting. If you're into anime, if you're into Shonen Jump, or even just Dragon Ball Z, you'll probably get a kick out of that game. Next up was Dying Light 2. Didn't really play Dying Light 1, so I'm sure it's a sequel. Battletoads. Battletoads returns in 2019. Yes. They revealed the game with a pretty funny trailer. Very nebulous. I don't think there was any gameplay, but it was just kind of like an announcement trailer. But even still, that's good to hear. It's been too long, so I'm glad to hear another Battletoads game is coming in the pipeline, and it's coming out 2019. So next year, we'll be playing another Battletoads. Next up is Just Cause 4. Just Cause is a lot of fun. If you've never played it, just like dick around for like 10 minutes using your grappling hook and stuff. It's a fun game. Next up was Gears of War Pop Figurine Edition. The Pop company is taking a page out of Lego's book. Lego has a bunch of games made in the Lego style. Well, now seems like Pop is cashing in on that idea, and now there's going to be a Gears of War game using the Pop figurine aesthetic. So, like Lego games, it seems to be much more humorous than the original Gears of War was. Definitely cute visuals, but still retaining the overall look and feel of what Gears of War is. It just looked interesting. It looked like, I want to say a kid's adaptation, but a kid-friendly adaptation of the Gears of War story. So that, I just thought that was interesting. Following right after that was their official announcement for Gears of War 5, the official sequel to Gears of War 4. So there's going to be a lot of Gears of War stuff coming in the future. Square Enix, we had nothing really new, just a bunch of add-ons and DLC for the most part. There's new stuff coming down the pipeline for Final Fantasy XIV. There's a new Dragon Quest coming out, Dragon Quest 11, Echoes of an Elusive Age. Automatic win if you're a Dragon Quest fan. Babylon's Fall. I don't really know much about that game, but it's by Platinum Games, and I like Platinum Games. They're known for their high intensity, you know, a lot of visual flair, just fun games. So consider that one on my radar to find out a little bit more about it. Nier Automata is coming to Xbox. Cool. On to Ubisoft. They did a whole like five-minute dance number to introduce their show, as well as Just Dance 19, their obligatory yearly release in the Just Dance series. They talked a little bit about Trials Rising, the next game in the Trials series, the motorbike, the physics-based puzzler, where you're riding your motorbike through these obstacle courses. Those games are always tons of fun. Hard, but fun. And it appears there's a new one coming out February of 19, so that's cool. Really notable moment, Grant Kirkhope, the composer of Donkey Kong 64, among other games, many other great games, big rare guy, he got up on stage and conducted live musicians who were playing music along to the trailer behind them for the Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle Donkey Kong expansion. That was a really cool moment there. That was, to me, a little bit like Video Games Live, where they have a video going on behind them, but they're playing the music to it live in front of the video. I mean, that's super cool in terms of, you know, the artistry, the performance. You know, Grant Kirkhope had to conduct these guys in time with the trailer, and I love Grant Kirkhope. So that was a real treat for me. That was definitely my favorite element of Ubisoft's show. For Honor, getting some DLC. Looks like some fighters from the Far East are making it into the fray. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, of course, we all knew it was coming. They spilt the beans on that, gave us a whole trailer, explanation, nothing we didn't really already know. It's set in ancient Greece. You can play as a male character or a female character, and other than that, just more Assassin's Creed goodness. So the big one from Ubisoft, there's a game they're coming out with called Starlink, Battle for Atlas. It looked like, you know, a fun space sci-fi type of game. And then Star Fox. Ubisoft, I guess because of their good relationship with Nintendo right now, Ubisoft was able to acquire the rights to Star Fox, so this is not a Star Fox game, even though it's called Starlink, but exclusively on the Switch version, Star Fox and his Arwing will make an appearance in the game, like will be a character in the game. That's awesome. I don't know who Xbox or PlayStation is getting, I don't care. Star Fox is in a totally unrelated game. Like, I'm gonna get Starlink just to play as Star Fox in it. Just like years ago, I got Soul Calibur 2 on GameCube just so I could play as Link. Like, I'm gonna get Starlink to play with Star Fox. I kinda wish we got a Star Fox game, but I'll take it. I'll take it. And moving on to the final element I'm gonna touch upon, Bethesda. Bethesda's show was really cringy. Like, that was rough to get through. And honestly, if I could make any one suggestion, it's that the presenters for Bethesda tried to get the audience to applaud way too often. Like, these guys, like, they say a sentence, they stop, and awkwardly stare at the crowd for applause. Don't get me wrong, getting up on stage in front of people is not easy. Even still, the whole show was just way more awkward than it needed to be. But I'm not focusing on the show, and then they brought out Andrew WK. Andrew WK. I didn't even know Andrew WK was still alive. They pulled that guy out of the woodwork to put on a performance before Rage 2. And this was right at the beginning of the show, you know, but the crowd is just not into it. I mean, yeah, there are a couple people, you know, jamming along, but good song, well performed, but really bad response. Anyway, Rage 2, the sequel to Rage, looks cool. Kind of like an open world Doom meets Borderlands. I didn't really play much of Rage 1, but obviously they're making improvements on this one, so it's gonna be great. They talked a lot about Elder Scrolls. They couldn't shut up about it. We have an Elder Scrolls card game. It's essentially gonna be another PvP mobile card game battler, just set in the Elder Scrolls universe. Then there was another Elder Scrolls mobile game called Elder Scrolls Blades, which appears to be a they're making a point to make pretty much a full-fledged campaign-based Elder Scrolls game playable on the mobile phone. And for what they showed off, it looks nice, it looks like it plays well, and they really, I think they put a lot of thought into it, because you can, as opposed to playing it landscape, you can play it in portrait mode with one hand. I don't know how well it's gonna play like that, but it can be done. So I give them credit for that. Oh, more Elder Scrolls. They just teased it, but they announced Elder Scrolls 6, the sequel to Skyrim. Here it is. And then the biggest announcement for me outside of anything Nintendo came here from Bethesda in the form of my hotly anticipated Doom 2, called Doom Eternal. Consider me excited. This is like, Doom 2 might actually be the game I was most hoping for out of E3. Like, Smash is big news. Yeah, I'm gonna play the shit out of Smash, but I really want a new Doom. And confirmed, Doom Eternal is going to be the name of the game. It is going to be the full-fledged sequel to Doom. It is going to be set on Earth as opposed to Mars, so very closely mimicking the original Doom series. This Doom 2 is once again going to be hell on Earth. A lot of, you know, red broken skyscrapers everywhere. Yeah, that looked cool. They promised twice as many enemies as the first game. I thought the enemy roster in the first game was a little light, but totally satisfactory. But if they double that number, Doom 2 should have a lot of cool monsters to fight. Presumably a lot more power-ups and weapons. You know, they joked, you want us to make Doomslayer even stronger? Well, you know, apparently they're gonna give him all sorts of cool new moves and weapons to work with. They didn't really show us anything. It was really more of a teaser, but Doom 2. Doom Eternal. I'm in. Give it to me, right now. And with that, that covers pretty much all my other remaining thoughts for the rest of E3. So I had a lot of fun covering E3 this year. I hope you enjoyed watching along. I'm sure I'll be doing this again next year. In the meantime though, check out all my videos, subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, don't you forget to ring that bell, and I'll see you soon. See you guys. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. Subscribe to this channel for continual, up-to-date coverage of E3 all week long. Also, like this video if you liked this video, and do yourself a favor and click on that bell icon below to be alerted as new information comes in.